Libya is obviously a big nation and a big prize in this wave of uprising in the region, and it's the bloodiest we've seen so far sweeping through the Arab world. We just heard Richard report this is more than a protest movement or a rebellion. It's a civil war, they say, and the streets are a war zone. NBC's Stephanie Gosk is just east of the border with Libya in the Egyptian village of Saloum tonight. Stephanie, good evening.
Good evening, Brian. Well, it's the third night of violence in the capital city of Tripoli, and protesters say they are closing in on their goal of regime change. But if Muammar Gadhafi is concerned about that, he certainly isn't showing it, at least not publicly.
At night, Tripoli's streets burn and gun battles rage. What began as a movement for more democracy has turned into a bloody civil war.
We just hear shooting. We hear helicopter in the air. We have been in our house for over 3, 4, almost 4 days. If you go outside, you're going to get shot at.
Reports from eyewitnesses describe bodies littering the streets, people too afraid to leave their homes and collect the dead. With few journalists in the country, the numbers are difficult to verify. Human rights groups say hundreds have been killed, gunned down by Libya's military and gangs of well-armed mercenaries. Leading the violent charge, a defiant Muammar Gadhafi, who today addressed his nation on state TV and refused to step down.
I am a fighter, a revolutionary. I will die as a martyr at the end.
The hour-long speech was delivered from Gadhafi's former residence, damaged by U.S. airstrikes in 1986, preserved as a shrine ever since. Rambling and bombastic, Gadhafi described the protesters as a bunch of drug-fueled vermin manipulated by outside forces. He called on his supporters to take to the streets and fight.
It's vintage Gadhafi, totally removed from reality. He's just completely unpredictable.
People are fleeing Libya, terrified by the violence. At the border crossing into Egypt, this group of men told us they were held captive for days by mercenaries. Others said they were attacked by fighter jets.
Most of these guys are Egyptian workers fleeing the violence. We have yet to meet a single Libyan. On a normal day, only 500 people will pass through this crossing. Today, 10,000.
There are fears Egypt could soon see a flood of Libyan refugees. The Egyptian military already has its hands full running a country with no president, and now has to stand guard at an uncertain border.
There are further signs that Gadhafi's support might actually be eroding. The interior minister resigned today in protest over the violence. And at Libyan embassies around the world, there are a number of ambassadors that have resigned, and they are flying a new flag, the pre-Gadhafi flag, that they say is a symbol of this new revolution, Brian.
With the second of our two reports, Stephanie Gosk, just over the Egyptian border tonight. Stephanie, thank you as always.